what we can do as the Interparliamentary Union to strengthen democracy, to promote human rights, to ensure that humanitarian law is respected.
UN Security Council needs a makeover, a comprehensive reform, and India deserves a position there, a role there.
Prime Minister Modi during Operation Sindoor made it amply clear that war has never been India's choice. We are with the side of peace. We are neither neutral nor indifferent. We are with peace.
We would have dealt with US a whole lot on trade and those kinds of things, and that's not as certain these days. So we have to go back and look at our European partners, our Asian partners.
An opportunity to exchange, to have a dialogue, to have a debate on a different perspective on finding the solution of the conflict.
First thing that is important to have a common ground, and that we do have with humanitarian laws and human rights, but also to say, okay, what does it mean for us as a country to act on these laws and how can we work together?
When we realize that there's something wrong with democracy, the institutions and policies, values come together and we take stock, and it's possible then to improve and chart a new course for democracy.
It's the people's right to self-determination, and if they want to be independent, they should be independent. We will not start a war against Greenland.
Hello and welcome. I'm Kriti Mehta and you're watching the World Report on NewsX World. Let's take a check of the top headlines this hour. US President Donald Trump says India will buy Venezuelan oil as opposed to purchasing oil from Iran. He said we've already made that deal. Days after threatening tariffs on any country supplying Cuba with oil, Trump says he believed the United States would work a deal on Cuba. US President Donald Trump has posted on Truth Social that he has ordered the Department of Homeland Security to under no circumstances get involved with protests in Democratic-led cities unless they ask for federal help or federal property is threatened. Protests have broken out against US President Trump across the United States, with protesters denouncing Trump and ICE from San Francisco to Minneapolis. President Volodymyr Zelensky has said that Ukraine was waiting for more information from the United States about further peace talks and expected new meetings to take place next week. The Iranian army's commander-in-chief Amir Hatami said that the armed forces were ready to defend the Islamic Republic until the end amid aggressive posturing by the US and allies. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman presented her 9th union budget in the lower house of Parliament. Stock markets on Sunday declined. South Korea signs contract with Norway to supply the Chunmoo multiple launch rocket system valued at $896.4 million, South Korean presidential chief staff said after meeting Norwegian defense minister. Alright, viewers, on to some top focus stories now. Israel has announced the opening of the Rafah crossing between the Gaza Strip and Egypt for the limited passage of Gaza residents in line with the ceasefire agreement. The crossing, which is part of a pilot phase, was opened under the coordination of Israel's coordinator of government activities in the territories, the European Union Border Assistance Mission, Egypt and other relevant stakeholders. COGAT explained that the initial operation of the crossing is a step toward fully opening it, with preparations underway to ensure the crossing's readiness for future use. Passage for Gaza residents in both directions will begin once these preparations are completed. Ambulances and aid trucks have been seen at the Rafah crossing, which is expected to play a crucial role in providing humanitarian aid to Gaza. All right, viewers. Latest updates now coming in. The Rafah border with Egypt to open partially now. These are the latest updates that are coming from the front line in Gaza. In fact, let's give you more details of the latest that is now coming in. Rafah crossing has opened in limited capacity as Israel has killed dozens in Gaza. In one of the bloodiest days since October, ceasefire took hold. At least 31 Palestinians, which include 6 children, were killed in multiple Israeli air raids on northern and southern Gaza as per reports. And now Israel has reopened the Rafah border between Gaza and Egypt after nearly 2 years on a trial basis to test security screening, as thousands of sick and wounded Palestinians are seeking urgent medical care abroad. Israeli forces have now reportedly killed about 509 Palestinians and more have been wounded since the start of what is being claimed as the ceasefire. And estimated 1,139 people were killed in Israel during the Hamas-led October 7 attacks, with about 250 taken captive. Ambulances are standing at the Egyptian side of the Rafah border crossing to take the Palestinians requiring urgent medical attention. The attack is coming a day after more than 30 Palestinians were killed, and Gaza residents are not expected, however, to pass through the Rafah corridor today. More details are emerging on Rafah crossings reopening. While it just opened, a security source has reportedly said that Gaza residents are not expected to pass through it today. Joining me now in this discussion is retired Major General Sudhakar Ji, who is a senior strategic and international affairs expert, joins us from Jaipur. General Sudhakar, thanks very much for joining me. Of course, the Rafah crossing has reopened the next to Egypt, but only when so many Palestinians have been killed in Israeli strikes, and these Palestinians, of course, requiring now urgent medical care and attention. How are you viewing the latest round of strikes in what is being claimed as ceasefire?
Certainly, the strikes are not welcome at all, because on the face of assurance of a ceasefire, if the strikes continue unabated, then not perhaps, I am very sure that we are not heading in the right direction as far as the peace proposal is concerned. As regards Rafah crossing opening up for humanitarian assistance, this has to be given a push from collectively by the world body and must be kept open as far as possible, because that is the criticality and the need of the hour. Back to you, Kriti.
All right, and how do you see the Gaza ceasefire round shaping up? Now, of course, all formalities of the previous round have been completed. The Israel and Gaza and Hamas, they're all headed for round 2. Do you think the implementation will be as smooth, or there are still significant challenges?
No, Kriti, this is a legacy. It's a historical problem which has been going on for several years, right since 1948-49, and to find a permanent and lasting solution is a very tall order. However, at least we are looking at a very high-end objective, working for it, and whether it happens or not, it's a matter of time. It all depends on the relevant stakeholders. And in the instant case, I feel that the Palestinians have not been given their share of hearing while formulating the peace plan. Therefore, the trust is the biggest victim. That needs to be factored in. into the peace plan, and some kind of mechanism must be worked out. As regards to progress that you are asking, I personally feel some head start has been made, some beginning has been made, and with that positivity, less for one hostage, I suppose, the body of whom is yet to be delivered or transferred. Rest all hostages have been accounted for and have been handed over back. The live as also the mortal remains of the hostages. That's a very good beginning. As regards the withdrawal of the Israelis, that's a very tall order. As per my input, I am given to understand they continue to occupy Gaza, more or less almost about 75%. I hope it is not true, but the inputs are coming to that extent. That's not a very healthy sign. They have to fall back their own side of the yellow line. And third and most important thing is the Hamas disarming. Under these circumstances, I don't visualize Hamas would be laying down their arms, because laying down of arms would demand the fundamental requirements of first and foremost thing is the guarantee of their safety and security. That can happen provided the long-term objective of Palestinians are addressed. The long-term objective of Palestinians is the two-nation theory, which neither Israel nor US are showing their hands or they're coming out clear on that matter. That continues to be a strategic ambiguity. What are the Palestinians heading for? Are they going to be shifted from wherever they are to a new location, new country, or they will have a two-nation theory? The moot question needs to be answered.
Now, Palestinians have been seeking this reopening of the Rafah crossing with Egypt for a long time now. Israel has reopened it now, but with the condition that it is on trial basis, and they will be looking out for security screenings. Now, if that is disrupted, what should we expect then? Will Israel launch further strikes?
Absolutely. That's a very, I would say, spot-on question that you have asked. You see, Egypt, right from the beginning, has been absolutely averse to Palestinians coming to their side, and therefore they have been blocking this particular passage or the pathway, the opening. So they have to be taken on board, whether by coercion or by cajoling. Some kind of dialogue has to go in with the Egyptians, and because there is no other opening through which the humanitarian assistance can come in. Rest all openings, they are either dominated by the Israelis or the Hamas are occupying. So it's very difficult. Rafah's crossing is the only one. To me, it appears that it is the viable one. Dialogue and consultation and mutual engagement is the only way forward. I don't see anything else is going to work. Back to you, Kriti.
All right, Sudhakarji, thanks then very much for joining me. And we move on. Now, mobile services have been jammed and security personnel patrol on the streets of Pakistan's Quetta. They coordinated attacks by Baloch separatists in the region. According to reports, at least 15 security officials and 18 civilians were killed in the attacks. Officials say 92 terrorists, including 3 suicide bombers, were also killed. Pakistan has been battling a separatist movement in Balochistan for decades, where rebels target state forces, foreign nationals and non-locals in the mineral-rich province bordering Afghanistan and Iran. The outlawed Balochistan Liberation Army claimed responsibility for Saturday's attacks. The group claimed to target military installations and police and civil administration officials in gun attacks and suicide bombings across 9 districts of Balochistan, Pakistan's largest but least populated province. Let's in fact listen to what a Quetta resident had to say. All right, and now invite retired Major General G.G. Dwivedi in this conversation. He's Professor of International Relations and Strategic Studies and joins us from New Delhi. Thank you very much, General Dwivedi, for joining us.
Thank you, Kirti. Thank you.
How do you really see Pakistan blaming India for its internal problems? It had earlier also blamed Afghanistan, now India. What is your first reaction?
Well, actually, Kriti, this is a format, or this is the traditional line that Pakistan always takes when they have internal problems. The first thing they do is to blame India. But it's very important to understand what's going on in Pakistan. Not only in Balochistan, there's Pakistan is fighting the insurgents or militants in Balochistan, in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, and also in Pakistan occupied Kashmir and Gilgit-Baltistan. Now, coming specifically to Balochistan, this problem is as old as 1947 when Pakistan was created, because Balochistan was occupied forcefully while they wanted to be an independent sovereign state. And you rightly said that Balochistan is almost 44% of Pakistan area, but it's very sparsely populated, just about 12% of just about 12 million of them. But this is a resource-rich state. It has rich minerals, and also it has a important outlet, or it is an important coastline with the Arabian Sea. The point at issue is that Pakistan Army and Pakistan dispensation has been committing excesses on the Baluch people, and they have been using heavy-handed approach to a political problem, and these Baluchs have been marginalized, and they have been giving a step-brotherly treatment, and therefore they have taken up the arms. So the Baluch Liberation Army fighters are fighting for the autonomy, fighting for the independence, and also against the excesses which is being committed by the Pakistan Army. So therefore, the recent intense fighting that has erupted was about 3 days back, when the Baluch Army has attacked number of Pakistani military posts in the area of Kota, Mustang, Nukshi, Kharan, and also in the Gawaz areas. And this has led to intense fighting over the last 2-3 days, in which Pakistan Army has lost about 15 of its soldiers, and Baluch has lost about 92 of its fighters. But the point is that it's all attributed to Pakistan mishandling their internal problems, and they always have a escape route to blame India for their internal issues, while we have nothing to do with what's going on inside Pakistan.
Right, General. Now India has also reacted. Let's listen into India's reaction as well. All right, viewers, India has actually frivolously rejected Pakistan's claims, which it says is baseless. General, this was, of course, India is calling a spade a spade. Why should India really keep on taking all these blames that Pakistan, puts for its own internal problems? India has also said that loud and clear in the United Nations, and Balochistan and the BLA is not a new concern for Pakistan. It is a years-long separatist movement that it has been seeing. How much can India continue that effort, even if, let's say, one is to believe Pakistan's claims?
Well, the point is, Pakistan is known as the epicenter of terrorism. They are known to employ terrorists as part of their foreign policy. This is part of their doctrine. So Pakistan is a state which never accepts all this, but the world knows about it. I think India has been taking correct diplomatic actions, and time to time we have put across to the world at large that Pakistan is part of the terrorist problem. They are the people who harbor terrorists. They are the people who nurture terrorist factories. But the point is that this has to be repeated over and over again, because Pakistan has a line of blaming for its ills to the neighbors, and especially India. But the issue is, Kriti, at the same time, on humanitarian grounds, India has extended its political support to the people of Baluch, because there's almost a genocide type of situation, and India has always stood for the human rights of the people, no matter which part of the globe they belong to. So therefore, India has voiced its concern as to what exactly is happening in Balochistan, And India stands with the people of Balochistan because, after all, it is a humanitarian crisis. But Pakistan has never tried to solve humanitarian crisis through political dialogue or political means, because it is a state which is governed by the army. The Field Marshal Asim Munir actually runs the country, and armed forces always use force to solve political problems. So therefore, this is totally the issue, the internal issue of Pakistan. They are not able to handle it, and that's why they always tend to blame the neighbors, especially they target India. But India has to be very strong, diplomatically and politically, to ensure that such blame game doesn't get further, or Pakistan doesn't take advantage of such blame game. Preeti.
General, what do you think are some of the real issues of the people of Balochistan? Why are the Balochis, since so many years, having this sentiment of distrust with its government?
Well, Preeti, issues are multifold. First and foremost, Baluchis have a separate culture. They have a separate identity, and Pakistan basically believes that Pakistan is a Punjabi identity, Punjabi culture. That is point number one. Secondly, there have been no progress in Balochistan despite its very rich mineral resources, its, I would say the coastline, which is right, ports like Gwadar, which is being developed by the Chinese. But beneficiaries or benefit has not gone to the Balochis, the locals. It's all exploitation. In fact, Balochis have targeted couple of times the Chinese workers and the Chinese engineers, because the point is they are being exploited, they are being marginalized, and it is the poorest part of Pakistan. While had the Pakistan government taken a progressive issues, Balochistan would have been one of the very progressive region, but that has not happened. So therefore, the issues are both economical, cultural, and trying to solve a political problem through military means, which has not succeeded. And therefore, the Baluchis have been forced to take up arms and fight for their rights. And that's exactly the situation on the ground. Kriti.
Right, General, thanks very much once again for joining us in this conversation. And we now move on, viewers, to New York. West City Mayor Zohran Mamdani has announced that Stanley Richards, a former inmate, will be the next commissioner of the Department of Correction in New York. Richards, who served time at Riker Island prison in the 1980s for robbery, has since dedicated his life to helping former prisoners reintegrate into society. Richards, a former counselor who led rehabilitation programs at Rikers, vowed to improve conditions in the city's prisons, ensuring safety for both inmates and correctional staff. He also emphasized efforts to prevent recidivism, offering support to those incarcerated. Let's listen in.
To the people incarcerated, their families, friends, and loved ones, I'll spend every day working to ensure the department keeps you safe and provide a pathway for change, redemption, and successful reentry. You see, this is our collective mission: to build a Department of Correction that New Yorkers can be proud of, one defined not by punishment, but by progress. So I pledge to work with the City Council, our unions, advocates, communities to deliver results. We'll innovate boldly and measure success by the lives that are transformed, not by lockups. Here's my ending call. To the staff of DOC, I'm with you. To those inside, your story isn't over. Support and hope is here.
Your story isn't over. That's the big statement that came in. General Dwivedi, I requested to join me back. Mamdani's pick for the position.
Well, Kriti, this is a typical case where a person who has committed crime, who has been in jail, has been transformed. And after all, the point is that transformation process is a very important process, because after all, people who commit crimes at times commit robberies, like in the case of Stanley Richard. There are circumstances which force them into such activities. But at the same time, I think the human effort is always to transform rather than only penalize or cast some certain kind of aspersions or tag such people. So I think this is a very positive step, and more so, Stanley Richard has over a period of time, he has come out of that image, or come out of that kind of stigma, and he has been part of the process of transformation, and especially in 1991, since 1991 he has been a counselor, and he has been contributing to the people who have been incarcerated, so as that stigma doesn't stand and people are given opportunity to transform and leave behind the past. And he rightly said a very important, powerful word, that your story is not over. That means that a person who once was victim of such activities, or was misled, or possibly influenced by wrong people, that person should be given a chance to start his second life or second innings. And therefore, I think this is a good step, and also it's a good positive, I would say, example for others who may have gone wrong in the earlier part of life, to reform, transform, and become contributing to the society in a positive manner and shed off their past. So I think I support such actions and such activities. They are very positive signs of a society which is healthy and which gives chance to people who may have been victim or who may have gone wrong in their earlier life.
Right, General, thanks again very much for joining us and helping us with your perspective there. And now moving on, viewers, Russia's Security Council Secretary Sergei Shoigu has arrived in China for high-level talks on international and regional security. According to the Russian Security Council, Shoigu is meeting with Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi, who also heads the Office of the Central Commission for Foreign Affairs of the Communist Party of China. The visit comes as Moscow and Beijing continue to deepen strategic coordination amid a rapidly changing global security landscape. Officials say the discussions will focus on recent developments in international and regional security, though no further details have been released. The talks underscore ongoing diplomatic and security engagement between Russia and China at a time of heightened geopolitical tensions worldwide. And now on to some science news. NASA and Axiom Space have announced plans for their 5th commercial mission to the International Space Station. The agencies say Axiom 5 is targeted to launch no earlier than January 2027 from NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida. The mission will carry a crew of 4 private astronauts who are expected to spend around 2 weeks aboard the orbital laboratory. The flight is part of NASA's broader effort to expand commercial access to low Earth orbit. The announcement follows the success of Axiom 4, which flew in the summer of 2025 and kept its crew on the space station for about 18 days. That team included former NASA astronaut Peggy Whitson, along with astronauts from Hungary, Poland, and India. NASA and Axiom first made history in April 2022 by sending the first fully commercial crew to the ISS. The upcoming Axiom 5 mission continues that partnership and highlights the growing role of private companies in human spaceflight. And viewers, that's a wrap on this edition of the World Report on NewsX World. Keep watching for all international news and updates.